Can you guess which shows I saw this week?
Meow. Yeehaw!
What do you mean there's no Jewish filter? What, you have to be Jewish to use it? Hello and welcome to vlog 33. I still can't say free. Anyway, how has your week been? I've had a bit of a crazy one again. Lots of travelling around the country to see some great theatre. So, let's crack on. Starting off at the Other Palace for a workshop presentation of a new musical called The Feeling. Not to be confused with the band of the same name. Now, this is a jukebox musical, but it doesn't contain the music of The Feeling. But it does contain a eclectic range of music, including Creep by Radiohead and Lily Allen. Now, this has been written and produced and stars Kyra J. Willis. Alarm bells ringing? I've spoken a lot before about people who take their own initiative to write their own work and produce it and star in it. And it's not always a bad idea. Sometimes it really does work. But then sometimes you do need to let other people in. Now, the piece has been directed by somebody else, so at least she's given that to someone to do. Going back to the piece itself, now I first met Kyra when she produced a series of cabarets with the stars of Bat Out of Hell. And she also is a talent agent. Now, in this show which she's written, she has invited and cast all her own clients. Again, alarm bell ringing. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a clever idea. For example, Anne-Marie at the MTA Academy writes her own shows for her students to perform in. And it is actually quite a smart move. Essentially, she can write work specific to her own students to give them the best chance of being noticed. And in this case, Kyra essentially is doing the same. She's providing a platform for her own clients by writing a musical for them all to be in. The piece was written by Kyra based on her own experiences, which makes it quite sensitive and quite personal, and very hard for me to be objective. I'm not going to be too harsh about this musical, although I do have an opinion on it. And I did want to sit down and talk to Kyra personally about the show before talking publicly about the show. And unfortunately, I've not had a chance to do that yet. So for now, I'm not going to say anything about the show, other than commend all the people that took part in the show for their efforts. Hopefully, I will talk to Kyra next week and be able to tell you more about what I thought once I've been able to determine exactly what it was I saw. Moving on Tuesday, I went down to Chichester to see Oklahoma, a brilliant new production of this classic piece. And what I loved about it was that it was exactly that. They've retained a classic feel about this production. Don't get me wrong, I love a revival, and I love it when they change things up. Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and Cats recently, but sometimes it's nice just to see a show presented in the traditional classic way that it was intended. and they do a brilliant job of this. I saw this show before when it was done at the BBC Proms, and also before that with Charlotte Wakefield and Ashley Day. And I think it's a brilliant show. There are some strong themes within this show, but the orchestration and the choreography is always brilliant. The last time I saw it was choreographed by Drew McConey. This time it's choreographed by Matt Cole and has been directed by Jeremy Sams. Now this production got a bit of backlash when they first announced that Amara Okereke, an actress of colour, was going to be playing Laurie. Having played Cosette in the West End in Les Mis, she has proved that she is an incredible performer and has dealt with this type of reaction before. And I just want to say for the record, she is brilliant and she deserves to keep snatching these roles, and long let it continue. They've also cast an actor of colour, Emmanuel Kojo, to play Judd. And again, this production does not suffer by having actors of colour playing these roles that are traditionally played by white people. There's no reason why they can't, or shouldn't. The rest of the cast is made up of the incredible Josie Lawrence and Bronte Barb, with Hughie O'Grady, also from Les Mis. Like I say, it was a brilliant, brilliant production, and I'm really glad that I managed to catch it in its final week at Chichester. Chichester has a very strong reputation for making shows transfer to the West End, so hopefully this won't be the last we see of this production. Wednesday afternoon, I travelled down to Kilworth House to interview Emma Hatton about her production of Cats, where she plays Grisabella.
Obviously, because they weren't able to do the original version, so it was a brave undertaking, but I think if anyone's going to take it on, Nick Winston's the guy to do it. And the costume and the set design, again, it was a bold choice because they were like, we are cats, but we're going to humanise them, which I think had the potential to divide people. But I think the minute the show gets up and running, people are on board with it. We've got tails, we've got cat features, but we have human costumes. And it's set in the Second World War in an underground station which is used as a bomb shelter. And so we have Old Deuteronomy is like an air raid patrol warden. Monkey Strap is like an army soldier. You have a milkman because the milk rounds continued during the Second World War. I mean, nothing has gone uncovered. You know, there is method in all their madness. They've looked at it all and gone, okay, this makes sense because. So Grisabella is a working girl, an old.
What she is.
Yeah. So you see she's in her stockings that are all ripped, and you know, big high shoes, and you know, her girdle and her corset, and she's got cuts all over her. So you know that, and then you've got Bomb Ballerina and Demeter, who are showgirls, who, you know, they wanted us to imagine that they'd just come down from the windmill, they'd just been performing, and then they go into the underground when the air raid goes off. So there's just so many beautiful references to that era, but yet without stepping on the toes of the original choreography, there's still that beautiful feline element to the choreo, which is It's just stunning to watch.
The rest of the interview can be found on my YouTube page. I then stuck around to watch the show that evening. Now, I love Kilworth House. I was there earlier in the year to watch Joseph, and I was really excited to see this new production of Cats. As Emma said earlier, they've given it a brand new setting and used brand new costumes. And Nick Winston does an incredible job. Everybody in this production are exceptional. The level of dance is brilliant. And honestly, I've never heard Memory sang so beautifully than by Emma Hatton. She is formidable. Now, I was really looking forward to seeing my buddy Sam Murphy, but unfortunately he had torn his hamstring, so his understudy Luke Redmore went on instead. And boy, he was brilliant. Luke has only recently graduated from Lane Theatre Arts and is incredible, as are most of the cast who also went to Lane. They really trained them well. Other standout performances included the incredible Robbie McMillan with his beautiful ballet technique, the fabulous Oliver Ormsson, who is gorgeous, and obviously Jeremy Seacombe, who is brilliant. I could go on listing everybody in this production because they are stunning. And like Emma said, the changes didn't really impact my enjoyment. If anything, I loved it more. The show closed this week, and I'm not surprised if the entire cast have been putting their feet up and enjoying a long, well-earned rest. Thursday afternoon, I was interviewing some of the cast of Hello Again, the new production at the Union Theatre. I love doing these interviews at the Union Theatre with their cast. They are always hilarious. Have a little look at some of the interview.
I think it's an overview of relationships between two different characters over a series of 10 scenes, all set in different decades within the last century.
It's about love and lust and what that means to you, and ultimately all we desire is the need to be loved.
Stolen both my answers.
Oh,
I'm stuck short now. The show is bonkers, but it's great.
Audience take away from this that relationships, even nowadays, haven't really changed. Like human connection has not changed. The desire for love, the desire for lust, the desire for sex, the desire for all that stuff has never changed and probably will never change.
And despite it being this daisy chain of things, I think the audience will almost definitely recognise in one of the vignettes a time in their life where maybe they've had a similar exchange or
it's quite nice.
I don't know, a similar experience.
The show is on until the 21st of September. So everyone needs to come down now and basically get in. We have 2 matinees, so no excuse with the evening jobs or anything. Yeah, but no, it's the 21st of September.
And you can find the rest of that interview on my YouTube channel. Straight after that, I then went over to interview Tom Partridge and Danny Becker about their new production, A Night at the Piazza, which is going to be performed this week at Zedel Theatre, and it is already sold out, so don't even try getting your tickets. Danny and Tom met whilst performing together in the light at the Piazza, and this is their first show that they are producing together. And they are really, really excited about the project and about what else they have in store to produce together. Here's a little snip of the interview.
Danny Becker.
Yeah, hi.
Tom Partridge.
Yeah.
In a relation to John?
No.
No.
I do know him though, but no relation.
Well, everybody knows John Partridge, don't we?
You're doing a show?
You're producing a
We're
show.
producing our first show.
What's the show?
It's called A Night in the Piazza, which is obviously a play on A Light in the Piazza, which we were in. And then we were like, why not make a show that we sing these songs, celebrate this music, but also, you know, show our bond as an ensemble and sing other songs that we like. You will be hearing about 4 or 5 songs from the show, so if you love the show, you'll be getting those.
Amen.
But you're going to hear loads of different versions of them as well. And people that you wouldn't expect to sing them. So it'll be like loads of surprises throughout the night. We have Molly Lynch, who is amazing and went on to play the role of Clara.
Yep.
So you're going to hear her sing a few songs and some surprises as well. She's doing some really cool stuff.
Is she?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not what you expect at all. It's brilliant. So have to stay tuned. Yeah. Who else? Rona, who was in Flowers for Mrs. Harris. Yep. That was stunning at Chichester. Yeah. Jordan Castle, who has a gorgeous like soul voice. He played a priest in our show. Who else? Simbi, who is starring with you. We're working together at the moment, actually.
Oh, what's this? What's this little show?
We just done the workshops at Prince of Egypt, so we met on like the Piazza, and then we're working together again on that, so which is amazing. And then who else we got? Matt, yeah, who's just a pro. Oh, he's done everything. He's done so much. Lovely guy. Everyone. And Chloe, we've spoken about, and I'm singing a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can't stop, can you?
And you can catch the whole of that interview also on my YouTube channel. Now, on Friday, I went to watch Falsettos. This show has had a lot of stick in the press and across social media because of what they are calling Jew-face. There has been complaint that none of the cast or creatives are Jewish, and therefore they shouldn't really be presenting a production which is about the Jewish community. I really struggle with this because they're actors at the end of the day, and the responsibility of accuracy and authenticity lies in the writing, not the way it's produced. This has been written by Jewish men, and now I think it all stemmed from the rather unfortunate artwork that was designed for the show, which people have associated with the Holocaust and claim that it is insensitive and distasteful. You can understand where they've drawn that comparison, but I'm sure that the designers and the marketing team behind this certainly did not intend for that. And Selladoor have come under fire because of their handling and response to this situation. It is, like I say, a very tricky and precarious area to deal with and to respond to. And I don't think the fault lies on any of these actors because they are brilliant and they are just doing a job and they do it really well. And whether or not they had enough Jewish creatives, if any, in the room producing this show is questionable. Nonetheless, the show is now open and at the Other Palace. So what did I think? Well, I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed. I think as a production, it is quite cheap. Now the set is designed to look and mimic artwork which was around at the time of this piece. But as a show, the music is entirely sung through. And to me, none of the songs really pop or stand out. It just blends into one. It felt to me like one of those shows that gets put on above a pub. And that's doing a disservice to some great shows that do get put on above pubs. I just didn't see why or how this fit into the programme of work that the other palace strives to create. Now, the show historically has done very well. It originally won a Tony for Best Musical and was nominated for Best Revival in 2016. But I'll be honest, I still can't see why it's being revived. The area where it talks about the AIDS epidemic and explores this subject is very sensitive and very beautifully done. And this production definitely do a great job of handling that subject. But, as shows like The Inheritance prove, this is a very dated story to be telling, and I don't know why it needs to be told again. I think they should be writing new musical about men living with HIV today and how this has changed, rather than keep bringing up these old stories. Also, for me, the characters seemed a bit dated and very stereotypical. You had Tash Barnes coming out playing the lesbian who lives next door in a pair of dungarees. You had the squabbling gay couple who finally make it up and then one dies. It's all just a bit cliche. And like I say, there are different ways of telling stories about gay and lesbian people. We don't all die, and we don't all wear dungarees. The cast is incredible. Well, it is great to see Daniel Boyes back, who I first saw 12 years ago when he took part in Any Dream Will Do, the search for a new Joseph on BBC One. Joel Montague and Laura Pitt-Pulford are exceptional as always, and do a brilliant, sterling job of making this show funnier than I think it is. On Saturday afternoon, I got invited to the open day of the Tower Theatre. This is a brilliant theatre that you will find in Stoke Newington, and they have brilliant resources and facilities that they showed me around. As part of the open day, as well as getting to treat myself to some cake, I had a look around the theatre, took part in a puppetry workshop, and watched a few excerpts from shows that they've got coming up as part of their autumn season. The entire video is on my YouTube channel, but here is a short clip. So I'm here at the Tower Theatre in Stoke Newington, where they're having their first anniversary open day to launch their autumn season. Let's go and have a look. And they have a bake sale. Yum. So I've got myself a bit of chocolate cake and the programme. I'm going to have a good look round. This is the main theatre space in here, by the looks of it. It's quite nice. I was honestly really impressed by the Tower Theatre, and I will definitely be going back to have a look at some of their shows. On Saturday evening, I joined all the women and hen parties in Dartford to see Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the new touring production produced by Jason Donovan himself, and starring the rather fabulous Nick Hayes and Joe McFadden. Now, Nick Hayes I've interviewed before, so you'll already know all about his journey here. And Joe McFadden is an old friend of mine who recently won Strictly Come Dancing. I first met Joe when I was 17 in 1999, when he was playing Mark in Rent in the West End. Since then, he went on to star in Holby City and Heartbeat, and this is his return to singing. And he does an incredible job. His voice is still brilliant, and he is looking better than ever. Joining him are Miles Weston and Nick, who both are superb as well. It's been choreographed by Tom Jackson Greaves and has an incredibly talented cast who do a formidable job. I will say, as a touring production and having seen various versions of Priscilla, this is possibly the cheapest version I have seen with regards to the costumes and wigs. Now, as we know, drag queens are all about the aesthetic, and this production really lets that side down. The costumes just don't cut it, and it is a shame because it shows and reflects so badly. I was sat next to a group of women who had seen Priscilla about 3 or 4 different times with different people in it, and they themselves said that this was the cheapest production they'd seen and they probably wouldn't come again, which is a real shame. I will say about the bus looks brilliant, and they've done a really, really good job of constructing it as set pieces. I saw a production last year which was terrible, where the bus looked like a climbing frame. I mean, obviously this is a touring production, so you will never ever be able to compete with the original bus that was in the West End, which was incredible. But this production have done a good job with it. It's just a shame the costumes and wigs let the side down, especially the divas. Their dresses were ill-fitted, their wigs were awful. And obviously they've tried to do something different. They haven't gone for the silver dresses and big red wigs as they did in the original, because obviously they want to do something different. And in this production, the divas get a few costume changes. But, yeah, it's to their detriment. They should have just bought them a very nice dress each to stay in the entire show and paid a bit more money on their wigs. Having said that, they all sound incredible. So for that, all is forgiven. As a production, it does feel a bit dated, and the book does rely on lots of one-liners, which, if they don't land, make the whole show feel a bit like a panto, and it is a bit relentless. But the story is beautiful, and there are some really poignant moments within the story about themes which still resonate, about homophobia and about transphobia, and these are points and stories that definitely still need telling because it still happens. Although the scene where Felicia is beaten up, I'll be honest, I don't think was handled particularly well or effectively. It felt a bit too stylized and kind of took out the sentiment and shock of that scene. Apart from that, it was a good night out. Sunday, I had a little acting job in a new series called Flack, which stars the incredible Giles Tierra. Giles won an Olivier for his role in Hamilton and is now focusing on TV and film. And the scene that I was able to watch him in is brilliant. He is superb. After that, I then rushed into town to catch the end of Hiba Elchikhe's first solo gig at the Jack Solomon in Soho. Now, this has been produced by RyCa creatives who produced Refresh, and it's the first time that Hiba has performed a solo gig by herself. And she is incredible. Her voice is stunning, as well as her acting. She is brilliant. And like any cabaret, it's really interesting to see what people are like and get a bit of insight into their personality. I know Hiba, so I know she's fabulous. But it's really nice for the audience to see this side of her. She absolutely smashed it and had an array of special guests for the night. Here are a couple of clips from her singing.
No good deed goes unpunished. No act of charity goes unresented. No good deed goes unpunished. That's my creed. No word of good intentions led where such roads always lead. No good deed goes unpunished. So all last time I need to be the one who takes you home. One more time, I promise after that I'll let you go. Baby, I don't care if you got hurt in your heart. All I really care is you wake up in my arms. One last time I need to
Both of those clips can be found on my YouTube page in full. After this, I went over to the Sunday night socials at the Union Theatre to watch Nick Barstow and friends. He was joined by his writing partner Jonathan Kieran and their special guest Jennifer Harding, Ryan Heenan, and the birthday girl herself, Soophia Foroughi. Probably said her name wrong. Here are a few clips from the evening.
Can you taste the salt in the air? I've always felt memories were stronger in the places where they were made. But now I can't help but to wonder if I really should have stayed. Still, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than sat right here with you beside the sea.
yet kindling the regret. You seemed to know her so well, and to look at us now, still miles and miles from those purple fields. Vines and olive groves, she's out of sight, and the sky set on fire by the rising of a brand new day. Somehow we never found the time. We should have found the time to see.
Now, these Sunday night socials are produced by Kieran Brown and Chris Mantle and are designed as a platform for new British writers. And they are brilliant, and it was a really nice opportunity to show your support and go along and get a taste of what they're developing and writing, as well as the insight into their process. The evenings are always really, really good, and they've got another one coming up soon with Sam Taylor. Check it out. So that's it for this week. Hopefully next week I'll be doing a lot less travelling and trying to settle into my new home here in Chiswick, which I am loving. If you're nearby, drop in for a cup of tea. I don't drink tea, but you're welcome to. Until next time, see you later.